dust on my boots, they don't shine like they used to. The sun's falling slower than it ever has before. The road ain't a road, it's a trail to nowhere. I hear the wind whisper my name, and it sounds like regret. This is the end of the outlaw's tale. No gold, no glory, just a shadow so frail, riding through the storm till the horse turns pale. Oh, Archer, oh, Archer, the river don't care for the blood on its water. The sky don't weep for a son or a daughter. And the stars are just holes in the night getting farther. I feel the ground pulling me down, and it feels like home. This is the end of the outlaw's tale. No gold, no glory, just a shadow so frail, riding through the storm till the horse turns pale. Oh, Archer, oh, Archer. This is the end of the outlaw's tale. No gold, no glory, just a shadow so frail, riding through the storm till the horse turns pale. Oh, Archer, Archer.
The cabin at Harmony Hill had learned their rhythms. Morning light spilled in through the small windows, soft and pale, warming the wooden floors and the quiet between them. Outside, the lake lay still, mist hovering just above its surface. Inside, the fire had burned low, just enough to keep the chill away. Albany sat in the armchair near the window, one leg tucked beneath her, a book resting open in her lap. She wore one of Archer's shirts, the sleeves pushed up, her boots still on from stepping outside earlier. She read slowly, not rushing, letting the silence stretch. It felt earned. Archer noticed her from the doorway. He paused there for a moment, just watching. The way her brow creased when a sentence caught her, the way she absently bit the corner of the page. How at ease she looked, unguarded, unbraced. It hit him then, quietly and all at once, that this was what staying looked like. He crossed the room without saying a word and crouched in front of her. Albany looked up, surprised, smiling immediately. "You're awfully quiet," she said. "Didn't want to scare you off," he replied, his voice low, teasing. Before she could ask what he was doing, he took her boot gently in both hands and slid it off, then the other. He set them aside like they mattered, like she mattered. Archer, she laughed softly, already knowing, already feeling her body loosen. He rested her heel in his palm and began to rub slowly, thumbs pressing just enough, careful and patient. The tension left her almost instantly. A sound slipped from her before she could stop it, soft, involuntary, full of relief. Her head fell back against the chair. "There it is," he murmured, smiling to himself. She opened one eye. "You're unbelievable." He said, leaning in to press a kiss to the arch of her foot, warm and unhurried. "You say that like it's a complaint." She sighed again, fingers curling in the fabric of his shirt as he worked his way to the other foot. The same slow devotion. Every touch felt deliberate, like he wasn't just easing her body but reminding her she was safe here, that she didn't have to hold herself tight anymore. "You didn't even ask," she said softly. "I didn't need to," he answered. "You've been on your feet all morning." She watched him then, really watched him. The strength in his hands paired with the care, the way his jaw relaxed when she responded. The man who had once lived ready to run now knelt in front of her like this, steady and present. When he finally stood, she reached for him, pulling him close. He leaned down and she kissed him, slow, familiar, full of heat that didn't rush anywhere. His hands found her waist, grounding sure. "We're ridiculous," she whispered against his mouth. He smiled into her kiss. "Yeah," he said, "but we're ours." The cabin was quiet in that deep early morning way that felt earned. I woke before the sun, the lake still dark and smooth outside the windows, the kind of stillness that used to make my skin crawl. Old habits don't ask permission. They just move your body before your mind catches up. I slipped out of bed carefully, pulling on my boots and jacket. Albany shifted once but didn't wake. I paused, watching her breathe, slow and steady. That alone almost stopped me from checking the perimeter, but almost wasn't enough. I moved through the cabin the way I always did. Windows first, locks, the back door. I stepped outside, cold air cutting clean into my lungs. I scanned the tree line, the slope down to the water, the narrow trail that led back toward town. Nothing moved, no sound but wind in the branches and the lake whispering against the shore. When I came back in, Albany was standing by the front window, lantern in hand. She didn't say anything, just lifted it and set it on the sill, flame glowing warm against the glass. Not a warning, not a signal, a claim. "This is ours," that light said. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. She met my eyes, calm, steady, no fear in her face, just understanding. That was worse than fear sometimes, because it meant she saw me clearly. Later we sat by the fire. The cabin creaked as it warmed, the flames popping softly. Albany unfolded a single page and smoothed it with her palm. "This is the author's note," she said. "Tell me if it sounds right." She read it aloud, short, honest, careful without being small, about leaving a life behind without erasing it, about choosing stillness, about becoming someone new without denying who you were. I didn't interrupt her, I just listened. When she finished, the fire cracked once, loud in the silence. "Albany," I said, staring into the flames, "I'm not afraid of being hunted anymore. I'm afraid of being safe." My voice felt rough saying it out loud. Because safe means believing I deserve this. You, this life. She turned toward me, her eyes soft and steady. "We are blessed, Archer," she said quietly. "And I am blessed to have a man who sees my worth." I swallowed hard. That night, we lay together listening to the lake. For the first time since Belhazard, my body gave in. No half sleep, no listening for footsteps, just rest. I knew she stayed awake longer than me. I felt her kisses, warm and light against my mouth, anchoring me, choosing peace instead of vigilance for both of us. A few mornings later, I was fishing at dawn, mist curling low over the water. The sun hadn't fully risen when I noticed movement across the lake. Someone stood on the far shore, not close or anything, nor hiding, just there. I froze, eyes locked on the shape. A man, maybe? Hat brimmed low, watching the cabin. By the time I gathered my line and started back, the shore was empty. Albany knew the moment I stepped inside. "You saw something," she said. "How far?" she asked. "Across the lake." What was he wearing? Dark coat and a hat, but didn't move. "How long?" "Seconds, maybe longer." She nodded, absorbing it like a case file instead of a threat. That afternoon, we found the newspaper, folded neatly near the trail. Her story circled in ink. She slid it into a drawer without shaking. "If they're watching," she said, "let them see who we really are." I nodded. "Might have something to do with Agent Ross," I said. "Might not." Either way, I wasn't afraid.
The knock comes just after noon, soft enough to be polite, loud enough to be intentional. I'm the one who opens the door. She's alone, late 20s, maybe early 30s, clean boots but not new, a shawl wrapped like she knows how to travel without looking like she does. She smiles the way people do when they want to seem forgettable. "Sorry to bother you," she says. "I'm trying to get back toward the main road. Harmony Hills got me turned around." Her eyes don't wander. That's the first thing. People who are lost look at everything. Trees, roof lines, smoke. This woman looks only at me. I point down the path anyway. "Follow the bend past the lake. You'll see a marker." She nods like she expected that answer. Then casually, too casually, she adds, "Beautiful place you've chosen. Quiet. Like in that story, the one with the lantern in the window." My stomach tightens. That detail wasn't literal. It was a symbol, a signal of claim, not location. No one should have taken it as a real thing. I keep my face calm. Years don't leave you. They wait. "Stories borrow from a lot of places," I say. She smiles again, softer this time. "Of course. Just thought I'd say." It read honest. She thanks me, turns, and walks away without asking my name. I don't watch her go. I don't need to. That night, the fire burns low. Archer sits across from me, elbows on his knees, staring into the coals like they might confess something. "She knew," I say. He exhales through his nose. "Ross." "I don't know if it's him," I say, grabbing his hand before he can spiral. But someone understands the code. He squeezes back hard. "Then it's a beacon." "Or a shield," I counter. People who read closely don't always come to hunt. Sometimes they come to witness. He looks at me then, really looks. One way or another, I'm going to put a stop to this. I move closer, rest my forehead against his shoulder. "It's okay, love. We won't let this throw us off. Not now." Silence stretches. Weeks pass. The invitation comes folded neatly, respectful. A quiet reading in a small neighboring town within a private room above a shop. Archer doesn't hesitate. "I'm coming. Not as protection," I say gently. He nods. "No, just as presence." The room is warm, full without being crowded. I read slowly, choosing my words like stones placed across water. When I look up, that's when I see him. A man near the back, older than Archer, worn in a way that comes from loss, not time. His eyes flick once, past me, to Archer, then away. After, while people linger, I lose sight of Archer for a moment. I find him outside. He's standing with the man, listening to him talk. When the man finally leaves, Archer doesn't follow. On the ride home, the wagon creaks steady. Night air cools my skin. That was someone I robbed, Archer says quietly, back when I was riding alone. It broke me seeing him, he continues. I had to go up to him, had to show him I'm not that man anymore. He swallows. He had almost nothing back then. I took everything. I couldn't sleep for weeks after. Still don't some nights. I reach for him. He lets me. You changed, I say. You changed for the best. He leans down, presses a kiss to my forehead, lingers there. But why? He asks, voice low, almost afraid. Does it feel like I haven't been forgiven yet? I rest my hand over his heart. Because forgiveness doesn't always come from others, I say. Sometimes it's the last thing we learn to give ourselves. The road stretches ahead, while the cabin waited for us.
The cabin was quiet in that steady, lived-in way Albany had grown to love. Wind moved through the pines outside, brushing the walls like fingers testing for warmth. Inside, the table near the window was cluttered with her pages, ink smudged where she'd paused too long, words stacked and crossed out and found again. She sat there barefoot, one leg tucked under the chair, watching Archer through the open door. He'd been at it since morning. Front of the property first, fence line. Then around back, clearing brush, checking sight lines the way he always did. Careful, thorough, like the land itself was something precious he didn't want to fail. Sleeves rolled up, shirt damp at the collar, that focused look on his face that meant the rest of the world had gone quiet for him. Albany tried to write. She really did. But every few minutes her eyes drifted back to him. The way his shoulders moved when he lifted a log. The pause he took to wipe his brow. The way he scanned the tree line, not afraid, just aware. Protective without trying to be. Something warm stirred low in her stomach, slow at first, then insistent. She shifted in her chair, cleared her throat, put pen to paper again. The words blurred. Her attention didn't. Notice me, she thought, not unkindly, just a little. Hours passed. By the time the sun tilted west, her patience was gone. Are you planning on working through supper? She called, voice sharper than she meant it to be. Archer looked up, surprised, like he just remembered there was a world beyond the fence. Didn't realize it was that late, he said. Just wanted to finish this section. She huffed softly, setting the pen down harder than necessary. You've been finishing for hours. He smiled at that, quick and apologetic. Won't be much longer. She didn't answer. When he finally came inside, the smell of soap followed him, clean, familiar. He dried his hands on a towel, then stopped when he saw her standing there, arms crossed, expression unreadable. He tilted his head. What's wrong, my love? She stepped closer, slow, close enough to feel the warmth still clinging to him from the day. Her voice dropped, honest and unguarded. You just don't know what you do to me without even trying. That got his attention. His gaze sharpened, softened all at once. He reached out but didn't touch her yet, like he was waiting for permission. You need to be taken care of, don't you? Her breath caught, not because of the words, but the way he said them. Not hungry, not demanding, certain. I do, she said quietly. He smiled then, low and knowing, and closed the distance between them. His hands settled at her waist, grounding, familiar. He rested his forehead against hers, thumbs brushing small, patient circles like he had all the time in the world now. Outside, the wind moved through the trees again. Inside, Albany let herself lean into him, fully, content in the simple truth that she was seen, finally, deliberately, and that he was exactly where he wanted to be.
The letter didn't feel dangerous when Albany first picked it up. There was no return address. It was just her name in careful, uneven handwriting, like someone had written it slowly, afraid of being known even on paper. She stood at the small table by the window, the afternoon light slanting across the floorboards, and read it once. Then again, it wasn't really praise. That surprised her most. The writer didn't talk about how beautiful the story was or how brave. They wrote about recognition, about seeing themselves in the margins of her words, in the things left unsaid. They wrote about nights spent hiding from their own past, about choices that couldn't be undone, about learning how to breathe again in a quieter life. Your story helped me survive mine, the letter said. Albany felt her throat tighten. Then the last paragraph shifted. The handwriting grew sharper there, the lines closer together. I stayed quiet, but someone else hasn't. Someone has been asking questions. She folded the letter slowly, carefully, as if rough movement might make the words worse. Archer noticed something was wrong the moment she didn't look up when he came in. "What is it?" he asked, already moving closer. She handed him the letter without a word. He read it standing, then again sitting, elbows on his knees. When he finally looked up, his jaw was tight, not angry, just braced. That night, they argued in low voices by the fire, the kind of argument shaped by love instead of volume. "I'm happy people are finding something in your work," Archer said, careful. "I really am. But this is getting to be too much. Now we've got someone warning us. There's another person asking questions." Albany turned toward him, eyes sharp. "Love, don't you think I know that already? Do you think I'm stupid or something? That's not what I meant. I know exactly what kind of attention this is," she said, "and I know it's dangerous." He exhaled, ran a hand through his hair. Then maybe the writing was a mistake. The words hung between them heavy. Before he could pull away from them, she stepped closer. "Don't say that like it's settled," she said quietly. "You know it's not that simple." He came up behind her then, wrapping his arms around her, forehead resting against her shoulder. "No," he murmured. "It wasn't a mistake. It's just another fork in the road, and it feels like every time you get close to something that's yours, something else tries to take it." She leaned back into him. "But the plan is backfiring," she said. "It was supposed to protect us, blur us, and now it's not." He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was softer, conflicted. "I keep thinking, maybe being seen is safer than disappearing. Maybe hiding is what keeps giving people power over us." She closed her eyes, feeling the truth and the risk tangled together. Later, long after the fire burned low, Archer fell asleep beside her, one arm draped over her waist, breathing slow and deep. Albany lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the letter folded and unfolded in her mind again and again. By the time she slipped out of bed, her decision was already made. She lit a single candle at the table and pulled fresh paper toward her. The pen felt heavier in her hand this time, not with fear, but with intent. No code, just enough truth to be hers. If someone else was trying to tell their story for them, she would get there first. Outside, the cabin was quiet. Inside, Albany began to write, not to hide, but to claim the narrative before anyone else could.
I saw the rider before the horse crested the last bend. That was the thing about habits. They never really die. The shape moving through the trees snapped something awake in me, something old and sharp. My hand went to the black and gold revolver before my mind caught up, fingers remembering the weight like it had been waiting all this time. Albany looked up from the table, startled by the sound of the drawer opening too fast. "Archer," she said, already rising. "Stay close," I said, low, not taking my eyes off the window. The rider came into full view then, straight-backed, controlled, too clean for Harmony Hill, Agent Ross. My jaw tightened. I crossed the room, took the rifle from the wall, and kicked the door open hard enough to make the frame shudder. I stepped onto the porch and leveled the barrel at his chest. "What the fuck are you doing here?" Ross stopped his horse immediately. Didn't reach for anything. Slowly lifted both hands, palms out. Hey, easy, son," he said, calm like he was talking down a spooked animal. "I'm not here to fight." I didn't lower the rifle. My fingers stayed tight near the trigger. "You better start talking," I said, voice flat, dangerous. "Or I'll fill your body with holes of lead and bury you where no one will find you." I felt Albany step up beside me, solid, unshaken. "Please," Ross said again, eyes flicking briefly to her before returning to me. "Listen, I came alone. No army, no tricks." Silence stretched. The wind moved through the trees. The horse snorted once and stilled. Ross took a breath. "I'm not here to arrest you," he said. "I'm not here to threaten you either." That caught my attention despite myself. "There are people," he continued carefully, "who want Belle Hazard's story finished, buried and cleaned away. Your survival complicates that." My grip tightened. "And now," Ross added, glancing toward the cabin, toward Albany, "so does the writing." Albany didn't flinch. "Public interest changes things," Ross said. "Stories create witnesses. Attention makes men like you inconvenient to erase." I felt it then, the truth in his voice. Not kindness, not mercy, but calculation bending around reality instead of breaking it. Ross cleared his throat. "So here's the offer," he said. "Disappear properly. New names, protection, official silence. You live quietly somewhere far away and the past stops knocking." "And the other choice?" I asked. He met my eyes. "You stay. You live openly. But the past never leaves. It hovers. Forever." I lowered the rifle slowly, the barrel dipping toward the ground. "You keep saying higher powers," I said. "What higher power are you really talking about?" Ross's face changed then. Not fear, not anger, just tired. "I don't make the rules," he said softly. "I just enforce them." He paused, then added quieter, "I don't want to do this to you. I understand change. I understand forgiveness." His jaw tightened. "But if it comes down to violence," he said, eyes steady, "then so be it." Before I could answer, Albany stepped forward. Her voice was calm, clear, sharper than any gun. "We're done being controlled by fear," she said. "By you, by history, by men who wash their hands with other people's lives." Ross turned fully toward her. "This town already chose us," she continued. "If you make a move, it won't be quiet, and you know it." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Ross nodded once, a small, resigned gesture. "I hope you're right," he said. He turned his horse without another word and rode away, the sound of hooves fading into the trees until there was nothing left but wind and breath. My hands were shaking when Albany reached for me. She laced her fingers through mine, firm and warm. "I'm with you, my love," she said. For the first time since he'd appeared, I believed we might actually win by standing still together.
The cabin was quiet, in the way only night could make it. Fire low, rain long gone, the world narrowed down to wood, breath, and the soft creak of the floorboards. Albany lingered in the doorway, without realizing she'd stopped there. Archer stood at the wash basin, sleeves rolled, rinsing dirt from his forearms. The lantern light caught the lines of muscle and old scars, the small human signs of work done and days survived. He moved slowly, unguarded, like a man who finally believed the walls would hold. He felt her before he saw her. He looked up, water dripping from his hands, and met her eyes. Her brown eyes didn't rush. They stayed on him, warm, steady, wanting. She swallowed, then smiled, a little nervous, but honest. "Can you make love to me tonight, Archer?" she asked softly, biting her lip as if the words themselves had taken courage. He didn't hesitate. His voice was low, certain. "Yes," he said. "I want to so much." She crossed the room toward him, lifted one boot slowly, deliberately, resting her foot against his calf. He knelt without being asked, fingers careful as he loosened the laces. He slid the boot off and pressed a kiss to the arch of her foot, slow, reverent, like it was something precious, not taken for granted. "So pretty," he murmured. "Take really good care of them for me." She laughed under her breath hitching all the same, and let him remove the other boot the same way, his hands steady, his mouth warm, grounding her. When he stood, she rested her forehead against his chest. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. Everything that mattered was already there. Trust, choice, the quiet agreement that this was theirs. They moved to the bed together, not hurried, not uncertain, just close, hands exploring familiar ground with new tenderness, kisses that lingered, breath shared in the dark. The storm of their past stayed outside the walls. The fire burned low as the night stretched on, and in that small cabin, they gave each other what neither had ever been promised before: safety, warmth, and a love chosen freely. By the time sleep finally claimed them, Albany lay curled against Archer's chest, his arm around her like it had always belonged there. The world beyond Harmony Hill, silent and far away. Albany sat at the table, with the last page laid flat beneath her palms, the ink finally dry, the third piece, the one she'd been circling for weeks. It wasn't coded the way the others were, but it wasn't a confession either. It simply told the truth, the way she believed truth should be told, about a man who chose to change, a woman who chose to stay, and the quiet mercy of ordinary people who decided blood didn't have to be the final word. She read it once more, slowly, then folded the pages and carried them to Archer. He was by the window, sharpening a tool he no longer truly needed to keep sharp. When she held the pages out to him, his hands stilled. "You sure?" he asked. She nodded. "I want you to see it before anyone else does." He took the pages like they might burn him, sat down, read carefully. Albany watched his face the whole time, the tension in his jaw, the way his shoulders stayed tight through the first few paragraphs. She could almost hear the old fears working through him, exposure, pursuit, the past clawing its way back. Then, slowly, something shifted. His breathing evened out, his grip loosened. When he reached the end, he didn't speak right away. He just looked up at her, eyes glassy, something raw and unfamiliar there. He swallowed. "It doesn't take anything from me." She shook her head gently. "It gives it back." He smiled then. "It tells the truth without handing it to men like Ross." He tapped the last line with his finger. "This one, what if we change it just a little?" They bent over the page together, their shoulders touching, while keeping their heads close to each other. One word replaced another. A sentence softened. When it was done, Albany felt lighter than she had in years. They mailed it together the next morning, walked the road side by side, just a letter placed into the world on their own terms. Weeks passed quietly after that. Then one afternoon, a man appeared on the path below Harmony Hill. Albany recognized the stillness in Archer before he spoke, the way he straightened, the way his breath changed. I know him, he said quietly. The man didn't look dangerous. He was older, his skin worn thin by life. Archer stepped outside and invited him in without hesitation. I just wanted an answer, the man said once seated. Albany stayed close but silent, watching Archer carefully. I'm sorry for what I did to you all those years ago, Archer said, voice steady, unarmed, unguarded. I pay for it every day I'm alive. The man studied him for a long moment. Then his eyes softened. I forgive you, son, he said. God knows you mean every word. He glanced at Albany and smiled. You got yourself a gorgeous woman by your side. Albany smiled back. I try to remind him every day. They shook hands. The past didn't disappear, but it loosened its grip. That night, Archer sat quietly by the fire, troubled despite everything. Albany knew the look now. Redemption isn't about being absolved, she told him softly. It's about choosing better every day anyway. He nodded. Before bed, Archer stepped outside alone and buried the old revolver beneath the earth near the cabin, not because the world was safe, but because he no longer needed to be defined by violence to survive it. Albany watched from the doorway with her heart full.
The lake had a way of lying to you at night. From the porch, it looked like a sheet of dark glass, calm, obedient, reflecting the moon in broken silver. But I'd learned better than to trust stillness, because stillness was just quiet movement waiting for permission. Albany noticed the lights first. She didn't say anything at first, just shifted beside me, her hand tightening on the mug she'd been nursing. I followed her gaze across the water, 2 pinpricks of white on the far shore. Not lanterns, it was too steady and deliberate. My body reacted before my mind did. My spine straightens along with old instincts stretching awake like a blade pulled from a sheath. But something was wrong with my fear. It didn't feel hostile. They're not watching, Albany murmured. They're waiting. I hated that she was right. By morning, the lights were gone. No footprints by the shore, no disturbance in the brush, just the sound of birds and the smell of wet pine like the world had reset itself while we slept. I was checking the trail when I saw it. An envelope tucked beneath a flat stone like it belonged there. It was cream-colored. The paper was heavy with no name nor seal, just my weight pressing down on my chest as soon as I picked it up. I didn't open it right away. I've already knew. Inside were documents clean enough to be dangerous. Birth certificates, transit approvals, a handwritten note with no signature and only 6 words. The door remains open. For now. The deal Ross talked about hadn't died with his visit. It had simply stepped back into the trees. Relief hit me so hard it scared me. The kind that makes you realize how tired you are. That night, the fire burned low while the lake whispered outside the cabin walls. Albany sat cross-legged on the rug, her back against the couch, her notebook closed for once. I stayed by the window, envelope resting in my hands like it weighed more than it should. If we stay, I said finally, voice rough from holding it too long. It means everything, my love. There'll be scrutiny, whispers, risk, folks digging where they don't belong. It's gonna come down on us fast. She didn't argue. That's how I knew she understood. I know, she said softly, but it also means truth. I turned to look at her. Firelight caught in her eyes, steady, unflinching. I could write anywhere, she went on. Another state, another name, another life. But I don't want to write from exile, Archer. I don't want to feel like we're hiding behind what we are. The words hit harder than any accusation ever had. I stared back out the window, watching the lake swallow the moon. My reflection stared back at me, older than I felt, younger than I deserved. I can feel hell coming for me, I said quietly. I don't mind leaving. New names, clean slate, peace. My jaw tightened, but not yet. Not until we see what happens first. I turned then, finally facing her. When hell's demons come for us, I said, voice darkening, I'm going to make sure I cut them down. She was on her feet in an instant, crossing the room, her hand closing around mine. What do you mean? She asked, not afraid, just searching. I squeezed her fingers, grounding myself in the warmth of her skin. I mean, the outlaw's still in me, I said. Archer Wilson didn't vanish. He learned, and if protecting our future means blood on my hands again, I swallowed hard. Then that's a line I'll walk, but I promise you, I won't lose myself. She studied my face like she always did when it mattered, not looking for weakness, but just looking for truth. I believe you, she said. I nodded once. Later, when the fire had burned down to embers, I placed the envelope in the drawer beneath the table. I didn't agree to the deal, but I didn't throw it away either.
The notice had been pinned crooked on the board outside the general store, fluttering in the mountain breeze, like it couldn't quite decide if it wanted to stay. I almost walked past it. Then I saw my name. It was typed out very clean and formal ink. Panel discussion, redemption, and the American myth. Featured author, A.L. Bell. My pen name. My stomach dropped. By the time I made it back up Harmony Hill, the paper was crumpled in my fist, damp from my palm. Archer was on the porch, repairing one of the loose boards, quiet, focused, the way he always got when he was thinking about more than he said. He looked up the second he saw my face. "What happened?" he asked. I handed him the notice. He read it once, then again. Then his jaw tightened. One of the sponsors sat at the bottom in smaller print. Just a name, but harmless looking. But Archer knew it. I watched the recognition pass through him like a shadow. "That's them," he said quietly. My chest tightened. Them who? The same people Ross answers to, or people who answer to the same people. He folded the paper carefully, like it might cut him if he was rough with it. "This isn't about literature, Albany." "They want you visible," I said. He nodded. "They want me controllable." The words sat between us like a third person. That night, the cabin was too quiet. The lake reflected the moon in pieces, fractured by ripples. I sat at the small table, pretending to reread the notice, pretending I wasn't watching Archer pace. Finally, I spoke. "You don't have to do this if you don't want to." He stopped, turned to me. "I'm not Albany." His voice was calm, but there was something under it, something old. "This is just another way for them to try to put a leash on me, turn me into a story they can own. They'd call it redemption," I said. "They'd call it whatever sells." I stood and walked toward him slowly. "You could say no. We both could." He shook his head. "They don't invite people like me to say no." I reached for his hands. They were rough, warm, real. "This isn't a trap if you don't step into it." He exhaled slowly. "I can feel something coming, Albany. I don't know what, but it's close." I swallowed. He looked at me then, really looked, the way he does when he's deciding something he doesn't want to decide. "You go to the panel," he said. I frowned. "What?" "You go. You don't let me become the reason you stop." His mouth twitched faintly. "I won't have my woman shrinking herself for me." I stepped closer. "I don't care about the panel if—" "I do." His voice softened. "You earn that room. Don't let anyone take it from you." I searched his face. "And you?" He looked away, toward the window, toward the lake. "I'll be here." That night, I couldn't sleep. Sometime after midnight, I felt it, the absence beside me. I sat up. The room was empty. I wrapped myself in the blanket and walked to the window. And there he was, standing at the far edge of the clearing, where he'd buried the revolver. Moonlight brushed his shoulders. He was just standing there, like he was listening to the earth. I lifted my hand, tapped 2 fingers against the glass, and kissed them before pressing them to the window. He looked up, saw me, smiled faintly. Just a man. Tired. Then he turned and came back inside. He crawled into bed without a word, pulled me close, and pressed his forehead to mine. I didn't ask him what he was thinking. I already knew. As I lay there, staring at the dark, one thought kept repeating in my chest. I don't know if he'll dig it up. I don't know if he'll leave it buried. All in time, he'll have to choose.
Word started spreading in ways I didn't expect. People came up Harmony Hill like they were visiting a grave they hadn't known how to mourn before, one at a time, sometimes in pairs. They mostly just stood at the fence or the tree line, reading the cabin like it was part of the story. Some left flowers on the trail, some left notes, some just stood there, took a breath, and left again. Albany said it meant the piece was working. I said it meant we were being watched. The morning of her panel, I drove her down myself. She held my hand the whole way, like she always did when I was quiet too long. She looked beautiful, nervous in that way that made me want to fight the world for her. You don't have to wait around, she told me. I know, I said, but deep down I would. I dropped her off, kissed her forehead, and turned the truck back toward Harmony Hill. And that's when I saw him. He was standing on my porch like he belonged there, clean suit, clean shoes, white hair, no dust on him, which meant he hadn't walked far, or he'd arrived by means I didn't like thinking about. I slowed the truck but didn't stop right away. I studied him, and he studied me. When I finally stepped out, I kept my voice light. Hey, old-timer, I said, can I help you with something? He smiled, not friendly in a way, just knowing. Yes, he said. You can, son. I came all this way to talk to you. I snorted softly. Let me guess. You read my woman's work. He tilted his head. I read between it. I rolled my eyes and walked closer, but I didn't take my hands out of my pockets. So you're here for a story, I said. You should have brought a notebook. How about we talk inside, he said. I looked around my property, the tree line, the lake, the trail. You come alone? I asked. He laughed at that. You still got that fear in you, he said, no matter how peaceful you make things look. My smile faded. I opened the door. Inside, the cabin felt smaller with him in it. He sat at the table like he'd been there before, like he'd owned places before, like time bent around him. We sat in silence for a long stretch. Then he spoke. Outlaw Archer Wilson, he said slowly. I like that name. I didn't. But you and I both know there's blood on it, he continued. The kind that doesn't fade, doesn't wash off, doesn't forgive just because time passes. I stared at the wall. You telling me this like I don't already know, I said. Then why are you so afraid of letting it go? That hit me hard, harder than I expected. I turned my eyes to him. I want that name washed clean, I said, but I know it never will be. I spent my whole life trying to escape something I couldn't even see, I said. Turns out I was just running from myself. His eyes softened. I know sooner or later, I added, I'm going to have to shed blood again. He didn't flinch. Belle still haunts you, he said. I nodded. You are not him, the old man said. Nor will you ever be. I clenched my jaw. You're a good man, he continued. With unwashed sins, I swallowed. But you have to make a choice, he said. Do you care if you live or die? That one took longer. I care, I said finally. I need to live. I need to tell the story. He smiled, then he stood. I think you should start by unburying that revolver behind your cabin. My head snapped up. What? But he was already moving toward the door. I followed him. Who the hell are you? I demanded. He opened the door, paused, and turned back. They will come for you, he said. And when they do, you won't have a choice. I felt my spine stiffen. But you've lived better than most criminals ever tried to, he added. Then he stepped out. I followed, but he was gone. I stood on the porch for a long time, and I stared at the place where I'd buried the gun. They'll come for me, I muttered. I'll have to tear them all down.
Albany's panel went better than she'd let herself hope. The room was warm, filled with low murmurs and soft laughter, people leaning forward in their seats instead of back. She felt it, the way a room feels when it's listening. The first few questions were pretty gentle. A woman in a knitted shawl thanked her for writing something that didn't pretend pain was pretty. A man with tired eyes said her story made him feel less alone. Someone asked how much of it was real. Albany smiled, answered carefully, honestly, without revealing more than she intended. She felt steady, present, brave. But then, that's when the tone shifted. A man in the third row stood. His suit was too neat for this town, his voice too polished. "Do you believe fiction absolves responsibility?" he asked. "Or does it merely disguise it?" Albany blinked once, then smiled, slow and thoughtful. "I think stories don't absolve anything," she said. "They reveal what we try not to look at." Murmurs with a few nods. A woman followed. "Do you worry," she asked, "that some stories romanticize criminals instead of holding them accountable?" Albany folded her hands in her lap. Her voice stayed calm. "I worry more about stories that pretend people don't change." Then another. "Should forgiveness be public?" he asked. "Or private?" That one landed heavier. Albany paused before answering. "I think forgiveness belongs to the people involved," she said, "not the audience." That's when she realized they weren't challenging her, but they were mapping her. When it ended, the applause was polite, warm, but different now in a way. She stepped off the stage, her heart steady, with her spine straight. Then she felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned and saw Agent Ross stood there, his hands folded in front of him, face composed. Next to him stood a man she had never seen before, but somehow immediately recognized. He was tall, clean-shaven, dark coat, sharp eyes that never quite softened. "Beautiful job up there, young lady," he said pleasantly, very compelling. She didn't take his hand when he offered it. "I reckon you know exactly who I am," she said flatly. A corner of his mouth lifted. "I do. I'm Nate Marshall." Ross didn't meet her eyes. "I know Ross mentioned me briefly," Albany continued. "So tell me, what do you want?" Marshall studied her like she was a painting he was deciding whether to buy. "I'm disappointed Mr. Wilson didn't show," he said. "This would have been easier." Albany didn't blink. "I don't know what game you think you're playing," she said, "but it's not going to work." His smile didn't change. "Oh, we're not playing games anymore, Miss Beth." Her chest tightened, but her voice didn't. "Then why are you here?" "The time for talk is over," he said calmly. "The time for action is now." Her pulse thudded in her ears. "We've given you chances," he continued. "Grace, space, options." He leaned in just slightly. "If Mr. Wilson doesn't want to work with us, there will be consequences." Her jaw set. "You don't scare me." That made him laugh, softly. "You're not supposed to be scared," he said. "You're supposed to be practical." Then he delivered it. "And if you even think about fleeing again," he added, "I've already arranged for eyes around Harmony Hill." Her stomach dropped, but she didn't let it show. "He has until tomorrow night," he said, "to decide." They turned to leave. She stood there long after they were gone, thinking. They were now closing in. And for the first time, Albany understood this wasn't about Archer's past. This was about controlling their future.
Archer picked Albany up just after dusk, the sky still holding on to the last thin streaks of orange. She didn't say much when she slid into the seat beside him. Just leaned her head against his shoulder, her body warm, familiar. "I'm guessing it didn't go well," he said quietly. She lifted her head and looked at him. "No, it went really good." He glanced at her worried. "It's just, there were some individuals there I didn't want to see." He nodded once. "Yeah, I knew that would happen." They drove in silence for a moment, the road humming beneath them. "I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you, my love," he said. She turned toward him. "Don't be. I'm living out what I love to do, writing, because of you." That made something loosen in his chest. He smiled a little. "And besides," she added, studying him, "it looks like you had a long day yourself." He nodded. "I did. A lot of talking, mostly with myself." By the time they reached the cabin, the sun had slipped behind the hills. The house glowed faintly with lamplights. Albany cooked in silence. Not uncomfortable, but just heavy. Archer came up behind her, resting his hands on her waist, pressing his forehead gently to the back of her shoulder. His fingers found the zipper of her dress. She reached back and caught his hand. "Not tonight, my love," she said softly. He froze, then nodded. "Sorry, I just wanted to make you feel good." She turned, smiling faintly. "Me cooking your favorite meal already does." She kissed him, soft, very brief. But it wasn't the same. That night, as Albany slept beside him, Archer stared at the ceiling, the old man's words circling in his head like vultures. "You will not have a choice." He waited until her breathing slowed, deep and even. Then he slipped out of bed. The night air was cool and still. He grabbed the shovel from beside the porch and walked toward the place behind the cabin where he'd buried it weeks ago. Each step felt heavier than the last. He dug quietly, every scrape of metal against dirt sounding louder than it should. And then, there it was, the revolver, black and gold, just as he remembered. He held it in his hands, the weight of it sinking into his palms like it had never left. That's when he heard it. Voices. They were faint and carried on the wind. He froze, listened carefully. They weren't close, but they weren't far either. Archer moved toward the tree line, slow, careful. Every instinct he'd buried with that gun rose back to the surface. He slipped between the trees, silent as breath. The voices grew clearer. Then he saw it. Firelight. At a clearing, he saw tents with agents and they were armed. They sat around the fire, talking low, relaxed, like they weren't hiding at all. Archer's pulse thundered in his ears. He backed away, slow, controlled, not daring to snap a twig. By the time he reached the cabin, his hands were shaking, not from fear, but from recognition. The old outlaw wasn't crawling back. He was standing up, and this time, Archer didn't fight it. He slipped back into bed, careful not to wake Albany, his body rigid, his mind burning. The old man's voice echoed louder now. "You will not have a choice." Archer stared into the dark, and for the first time in a long time, he believed him.
Albany wasn't asleep when she felt Archer slide out of bed. She kept her eyes closed, listening to the faint creak of the floor, the soft click of the door, the hush of night swallowing him. Her heart started to pound, not from fear, but from knowing something was wrong. She lay there, staring into the dark, Nate Marshall's words, replaying in her head like a threat that hadn't needed to raise its voice. The time for talk is over. The time for action is now. When Archer finally returned, the mattress dipped beside her. His breathing was controlled. She rolled onto her side. "Archer," she whispered, "there's something really important I have to tell you." He froze. Then he exhaled slowly. "So do I." They both sat up. Moonlight spilled across the bed, faint and pale, outlining his face. He reached for her arm, rubbing it gently, grounding himself. "At the panel," she began, her voice steady, even though her chest felt tight. "They wanted me to tell you something." He didn't interrupt. "They're giving you an option. Either you work with them, or you face whatever comes next." He nodded once, slowly, like he already knew. "You have to meet them tomorrow night," she added. Silence filled the room. Then Archer spoke. His voice was low. "We've come a long way from where we were before. Two strangers from two different worlds who somehow fell in love." She leaned her head against his cheek, feeling the warmth of him, the reality of him. "I'm not going to take what they're offering," he continued, "and I won't let them take my will to live." Her throat tightened. "I have a reason to fight," he said. She lifted her head. He cupped her face, his hands firm but gentle. His eyes were dark with certainty. "I'll live for you." She searched his face, memorizing him like she might need to remember this moment forever. Then he said quietly, "Albany, I saw men tonight. Not close, but too close. I know they were agents, and I know why they're here." Her breath caught. "I'm guessing that's what they were telling you too," he said. She nodded. "You don't really have a choice," she whispered. "You've lived better than most." He stared at the wall for a moment, then back at her. "There's no running this time," he said. "I know that." She felt it too. "I'll make a choice tomorrow." They didn't say anything else. Albany slid closer, curling into him. He wrapped his arms around her tightly, like he was anchoring himself to the world. She pressed her forehead to his chest. Neither of them slept easily.
The morning felt quieter than it should have. Archer woke before Albany, watching the slow rise and fall of her chest, the way her hair spilled across the pillow like it had a mind of its own. For a long moment, he didn't move. He just stayed there, memorizing her. The curve of her shoulder, the warmth of her hand near his, the simple miracle of her being there. Today mattered, and he wasn't going to let it be swallowed by fear. They spent the day together, working around the cabin, fixing loose boards, cleaning the windows, folding blankets. Ordinary things that felt sacred just because they were doing them side by side. Albany tried to write at the table while he worked outside, but Archer kept catching her staring off. She had her pen hovering over the paper, her eyes more distant. Every time he walked past the window, he saw it. Her smile was there, but her mind was somewhere else. He knew it was on about tonight. He wanted to take that weight from her, even if only for a few hours. By evening, he cooked dinner. Nothing fancy, just warm and steady. The kind of meal that felt like home. She smiled at him across the table, but her fingers kept fidgeting with her fork. Afterward, he drew her a bath. "Go," he told her gently. "I've got everything else." She looked at him like she might cry, then nodded. While she soaked, he went outside and worked. Not because anything needed fixing, but because he needed to keep moving, keep his hands busy, keep the old instincts from rising. When she finally came out, wrapped in one of his shirts, hair damp and loose, she looked softer than the world deserved. She kissed his cheek and went to bed. Archer stayed outside. He built a small fire pit in front of the cabin, careful, deliberate. When it was done, he went back inside. Albany was half asleep when he brushed her hair from her face. "Come here, my love," he whispered. She stirred. Archer, without waking her fully, He lifted her, blanket and all, and carried her outside. The night was cool, the air quiet, the fire just beginning to glow. He laid her down gently beside it and lay next to her. "Look up," he said. She did. "What do you see?" he asked. She squinted. "I only see embers." He smiled. "Exactly. Those embers. They're us. Small, burning, stubborn little pieces of light that refuse to go out." She turned toward him. "You and me," he said, brushing her cheek. "We're eternal embers." Her eyes filled. He kissed her, slow, deep, full of everything he couldn't say out loud. "I won't leave you," he whispered against her forehead. She clutched his shirt. "Please don't." "I won't," he said again. "Not tonight, not ever." They lay there, wrapped in each other, the fire crackling, the sky wide and endless above them. They fell asleep outside, beside the fire, under the stars, holding each other like the world couldn't take them apart. And for that one night, it didn't. I woke to the soft crackle of embers and the cool morning air brushing against my skin. For a moment, I didn't move. I just lay there, staring at the sky, watching the last stars fade as dawn stretched thin fingers across the horizon. Everything was too peaceful, and that's how I knew. I turned my head slowly. Albany was curled against me, still asleep, her hair spilling across my chest, her face soft and unguarded. One hand rested over my ribs like she'd anchored herself there in the night, like she was afraid I might disappear if she let go. I brushed my thumb over her knuckles. God, I loved her. Not the kind of love that burns fast and reckless, but the kind that rewrites you. The kind that makes a man want to be better even when he knows he never can be. I memorized her. The slope of her nose, the tiny crease between her brows, the way her lips parted when she slept. Because I had a feeling this might be the last time I got to. I pressed my forehead to hers, breathing her in. "I'm sorry," I whispered, even though she couldn't hear me. I carefully slid out from under her, moving slow, gentle, like she was made of glass. I draped the blanket back over her shoulders and stood there for a long moment, just watching her breathe. Then I turned away. Inside the cabin, the air felt much heavier, like it knew the time has come. I opened the old chest at the foot of the bed. The hinges creaked, same sound they'd always made. Inside was a version of me I tried to bury. My old clothes with my hat at, and also, of course, the black and gold revolver I stuffed in there. I lifted the fabric, felt its weight, and the long history. Every thread was soaked in things I couldn't undo. I changed slowly. Each piece felt like a confession. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. And yet I did. There he was, the man I used to be, the man I swore I'd never become again, an outlaw for one last time. Either it would be the end of them or the end of me. I adjusted the holsters, pulled the hat low, and that's when I heard the door. I turned. Albany stood there wrapped in the blanket, barefoot, hair loose, eyes wide. She looked at me like it was the first time all over again, just looking so heartbroken. "It's time," I said quietly. She nodded, but her eyes betrayed her. "I need you to run," I told her, stepping toward her. "Find someplace safe. Hide." She shook her head immediately. "Archer, no. There has to be another way." I took her hands, held them tight. "This is it, Albany. It ends here." Her lips trembled. "I'll fight," I said. "One last time. But when it's over, I won't go back to who I was." She studied my face like she was trying to memorize it the same way I memorized hers. Then she nodded. When I loaded her into the truck, my hands were shaking. "I love you," I said. She touched my face. "You better come back." I kissed her, quick, desperate, full of everything I couldn't say. "Go," I whispered, and she did. And then the sound came, dozens of hooves making the earth tremble. I ran. Bullets hit the cabin before I even reached it. I dove behind the porch, drew revolver, and for the first time in years, I became him again. I didn't think nor hesitate. I moved. When it was over, the world felt distant, muffled. My body was heavy. Blood soaked my sleeve, my leg, my side. I collapsed. The sky spun. My breathing burned so badly. "Archer!" Her voice broke through everything. She fell beside me, hands shaking, pressing against my chest like she could hold me together. "No!" she sobbed. "No, no, no, please." I reached for her hand. It took everything I had. "Albany!" She grabbed me like I was already gone. "I need you," she cried. "I need you, Archer." I smiled weakly. "I'll live for you," I whispered. "I'm glad. I found you." Her tears fell onto my face. "We're eternal embers," I said softly. She nodded, sobbing. Yes, we are." My vision dimmed, but her face stayed. Always her.
Albany woke slowly, the way you do when the world feels kind. Light filtered through the trees in thin golden ribbons, drifting across the clearing and settling on the edge of the fire pit, where embers still glowed, faintly, like sleepy stars. She hadn't moved yet. She didn't want to. Archer was beside her, still asleep, his arm loose around her waist, his breathing steady but uneven, like his mind was somewhere else entirely. She studied him quietly, the way you do when you love someone and don't need anything from them but their presence. His brow twitched, then his head shifted, side to side, just barely, like he was trying to escape something in his sleep. Albany lifted her head slowly and watched him. He looked troubled, like a man carrying too many memories into his dreams. She brushed her thumb gently along his chest, grounding herself in the sound of his heartbeat. It was real, and it was there. She laid her head back down, listening to him breathe, counting each rise and fall. She whispered nothing. She didn't want to disturb him. But then he suddenly sat up, fast, sharp, like he'd been pulled from deep water. He sucked in a breath, then another, his chest rising hard. His eyes darted around the clearing, the tree line, the sky. "Archer," she said softly, sitting up with him. Hey, it's okay." He pressed a hand over his face, dragging it down slowly, like he was trying to wake himself fully into the moment. She reached for him, rubbing his back in small, steady circles. "Archer," she repeated gently, "talk to me, my love." He shook his head faintly. "It was nothing. He stopped, swallowed, then sighed. I thought I died." Her chest tightened. "I dreamed I was fighting them," he continued quietly. "The agents, and then I was on my back, bleeding, and you were there, crying, telling me not to go." Albany's eyes burned instantly. She leaned into him, wrapping her arms around his shoulders, pressing her forehead against his. "I never want to see that," she whispered. "Never. Not in dreams, not in real life, not ever." He closed his eyes. "I won't fight with guns," she said softly. "I'll fight with my voice instead, with my words, with my heart." He finally looked at her, and when he did, she saw it, that sadness mixed with gratitude, fear tangled with love. She hugged him tighter. The sun was fully rising now, warm and bright, chasing the cold from the ground and the shadows from the trees. "We're eternal embers, remember?" she said gently, trying to make him smile. "Or did you forget?" He let out a quiet breath that was almost a laugh and pulled her close, pressing his forehead to hers. "I remember," he said. Morning arrived softly at Harmony Hill. I woke to the smell of coffee and something warm and sweet. Cinnamon, I thought, drifting through the cabin. For a second, I stayed still, listening. The birds were louder today. The breeze brushed through the trees like a hush. Then I heard Archer humming, just enough to let me know he was in a good mood. I smiled before I even opened my eyes. When I came into the kitchen, he was standing at the stove, shirt half buttoned, hair still messy from sleep. He looked up and froze, like he'd been caught doing something embarrassing. "What?" I asked. "I was trying to make pancakes," he said. Keyword, trying. I laughed and walked over, leaning into him. "You look very serious about it." "I am serious," he said. "This is an important meal." He handed me a plate. One pancake was slightly burnt. The other was misshapen, but he'd made a little smiley face with fruit on top. We sat together at the small table, knees touching, stealing bites from each other's plates, teasing, laughing. At one point, he brushed syrup from the corner of my mouth with his thumb, and I forgot what we were talking about entirely. After breakfast, he surprised me by filling the old clawfoot tub. We took a quiet, playful bath together, just warm and close, leaning against each other, laughing when water sloshed over the sides. He rinsed my hair gently, like it was something fragile, something sacred. I rested my forehead against his shoulder. "I wish time could slow down," I murmured. He kissed the top of my head. "It does, when you're here." That afternoon passed peacefully, too peacefully, and maybe that's why my stomach twisted when I saw two horses approaching at dusk. Archer stiffened beside me. When the riders dismounted, I recognized them instantly. Nate Marshall and Agent Ross. No guns drawn, no agents behind them, just the two of them standing at the edge of our land. Nate raised his hand slowly. "We come in peace this time," he said. "I promise." Archer stepped forward slightly, placing himself just in front of me without even thinking about it. I hated how natural that reflex had become. Nate nodded like he understood. "Archer," he said, "your past may not be pretty, but I respect you for proving that an outlaw can change in this world." Ross added quietly, "That doesn't erase who you were." I felt Archer tense. Then Ross continued, "But we're here to tell you the real reason we wanted you to work with us." Nate spoke this time. "Bell Hazard had an associate, named Clint Marco. He's built his own militia, a dangerous, organized group of men getting bigger." Archer's jaw tightened. "We thought you'd help us," Nate said. I stepped forward. "If that's all this was about, then why threaten us? Why surround our home? Why scare us?" Ross lifted his hand slightly. "We know it was wrong. Pressure made us reckless. We were trying to contain something that's already out of control." Nate looked straight at Archer. "So here's the truth. If you work with us, you and Albany can live freely in this country. No shadows, no tails, no interference." Ross added, "If you don't, the monitoring continues, or you leave the country, but you keep your names." Silence fell like snow. Then they left. That night, Archer and I sat by the fireplace, the flames reflecting in his eyes. I leaned into him, my head against his shoulder. "What are you thinking?" I asked. "That no choice is clean," he said. I nodded. "But it's still ours." We sat there holding hands, listening to the fire crackle, knowing that whatever we chose, it would change everything.
That night, something inside me finally felt quiet. Not peaceful, but quiet enough that I could hear my own breathing without it sounding like a warning. The fire cracked low in the pit outside, the cabin windows glowing soft behind us, and Albany sat across from me with her knees tucked to her chest, watching the flames dance. I kept thinking about the dream, about how real it had felt, how it had ended with her crying over me like I was already gone, and how I was still here, still breathing, still looking at her. I held on to that dream. "Come here, love," I said softly. She stood and crossed the space between us, and when she sat on my lap, it felt like the world shrank down to just the weight of her warmth. "I made my decision already," I said. She tilted her head. "That fast?" I nodded. "Yeah, I think it's best if we just leave all of this behind." Her eyes searched mine. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," I said. "We've been putting up with too much for too long. I don't want to live like every shadow's a threat anymore. And you can still write. You can still be you, just somewhere that doesn't know my name." She smiled, soft and teasing. "Well, where is it that you have in mind, outlaw?" I thought for a moment, then said, "Canada." Her eyebrows lifted. "Canada? Wide open land, quiet places with snow and a fresh new start." I smiled. "It just feels right." She laughed gently. "I've never been there before." "Then we'll learn it together," I said, lifting her a little, holding her close. Every inch of it, as one. She rested her forehead against mine. And then my smile faded, not with fear, but with something softer. "I just want to keep you glowing," I whispered, alive inside, laughing, writing and loving. "I don't want this world to touch you the way it touched me." Her fingers slid into my hair. "Then let tonight be ours." I nodded. We just held each other watching the fire, listened to the wind through the trees, memorized the way the night sounded here, like we might need to remember it later, like we already missed it. By dawn, the truck was packed. I stood on the porch for a long moment, looking at the cabin, the fire pit where we had whispered dreams into the smoke. This place had tried to break me once, but it gave me her. That counted for something. Albany leaned out the passenger window. "You coming, or are you saying goodbye to ghosts?" I smiled and got in. The sun rose ahead of us, pale and new, stretching across the road like it was making a promise of another brand new life.